Welcome back. This is Will at Work. I am Kevin. We're just going to briefly touch on the PlayStation 3. I have a PlayStation 3. This is the original box. It still works. It's hooked up to the TV in my other room, and I use it on occasion to play some older games. I happen to have the 60 gigabyte version, which was the original version that came out when it launched. There were two models. There was the 60 gig and the 20 gig. The 20 gig is probably the rarest of the PlayStations in terms of model number because it didn't last very long at all. 20 gig is nothing in terms of storage, but some people were thinking, hey, you know what, I'm going to just pop the drive out and put in a larger drive, so I'll get the 20 gig version rather than the 60 gig version. And so it went. But drives, as usual, the prices come down rather quickly. And in the very beginning, when Sony launched the PlayStation 3, it didn't sell right out the door. I think maybe at launch, maybe for a moment, it sold out, but it didn't sell out long. And they were really easy to find once they restocked. Because everybody was still playing the PlayStation 2, which was still, a very popular console, and they wanted a lot of money for this. I think the 60 gigabyte version was around $500, and people were like, no way, I'm paying $500 for that. Now, Sony, to make the deal a little bit sweeter, on these original units, they included the hardware to emulate the PlayStation 2, and they included essentially both microchips that were necessary to give you basically 100% compatibility. There may be a couple of straggler games out there that don't work in it for one reason or another, but for the most part, it was 100% compatibility, and it was all hardware based. And I think that Sony knew they were going to take a little bit of a loss because they were basically giving you a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 3 in a single console. Shortly after they decided to release new SKUs of the PlayStation 3, they removed one of those two chips. And they were still able to provide, software emulation of the other chip, and that gave them pretty close to, 100% compatibility, but not as much, right? There were more games that fell off, as far as I understood it. But for the most part, they ran with that for a while. And to tell you what, I lost track of the backwards compatibility after that time. I don't know if things like, the PlayStation 3 Slim and the Very Slim, or whatever that last one was called, even had backwards compatibility in them anymore. I just don't know. I mean, they might, but I think when you're getting near the late end of the console's life cycle, nobody cares about the PlayStation 2 compatibility, and they wanted to play, PlayStation 3 games. Now that said, I think all of the PlayStation 3s were able to emulate the PlayStation 1 without even having some other kind of hardware, I think. So, at the end of the day, though, this one here is probably the one. This for the 20 gig, which is 20 gig is a little bit more rare. But either way, this is the one you wanted because this gives you PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3, 100% compatibility. These were pretty reliable. When Microsoft was going through their whole Red Ring of Death thing on the Xbox 360, it was pretty rare to hear that PlayStation 3s got bricked. They ran a little bit warm. But I'll tell you what, I've had mine since it came out, and it's still running like a champ. I've had no issues with it. I mean, it does have this, slot tray here that, some people, maybe the games get stuck inside or something like that. But I don't know. I just never really had any issues with it. But it is one of the few consoles in the modern times that I haven't bought more than, or that I have not bought more than one of. Generally, I will buy just out of some sort of need or something. I'll buy another console with the Xbox 360, I ended up with 3 of them. I don't have 3 anymore. I think I only have 1 now, maybe 2. But anyway, one had the red ring of death and was sent back and repaired and sent back to me during that whole fiasco. The other ones have been okay that I had. I gave one to Larry. I think Larry didn't want to play video games anymore or something. I don't know what he was doing. He gave it to one of his friends. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. You know, that's what people do. And, yeah. You know, and then if I had a second one, I don't know. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, who cares? We're not talking about the 360. PlayStation 3. It's a great console. It worked really well. It had a good store, had a good selection of games. It was pretty tight. I mean, there's nothing really. There's no complaints here with it as far as I'm concerned. Maybe like some of the interface, I guess you could say, was maybe a little bit slow, right? Getting into the store or you know, waiting for updates to happen and things. A lot of, you know, if you think back on it, there's a lot of waiting on this console for things to happen and get done, patching to occur and such. And I'm not saying other consoles didn't have it. It's just that, like, when you get to the PlayStation 4, or, yeah, of course, the PlayStation 5, but when you get to the PlayStation 4, it's a much smoother experience when it comes to the online part of it. Like, Sony was still kind of working things out with PlayStation 3. You know, they had that whole, like, virtual world thing going on for a while, and they were trying different things to see what would stick, throwing different things at the wall. And, you know, in terms of, like, adding features, they kind of added things as they went, right? Cross-chat and things like that. People were waiting a long time for different features in order to, like, get started on this. And at the end, you know, they had a pretty healthy online system working here, but it took a while to get there. And, you know, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, when you get to the end of its life, it's a good system. It's just all around a good system. It had the cell processor thing going on, right? I think this was the one that did, because PlayStation 2 was all about what, that emotion engine or whatever, and then PlayStation 3 was about the cell processor, and I believe the cell processor was, it didn't do as much as what they wanted it to do. I think at the end of the day, like, this is the thing that kind of killed Ken Kutaragi, leading the gaming division, because he wanted this thing to do too much, I think. But anyway, you know, it was still a big success for Sony. You know, Microsoft was able to close the gap with the 360, probably because Sony, this was a bit more expensive for Sony. They couldn't really cut price on it as dramatically as they wanted to until it got very late in the you know, in the war, as it were. And you know, Microsoft had learned some lessons about that with the original Xbox, so they had made it so the Xbox 360, they could cut price on it pretty dramatically. And then, you know, Microsoft ended up with Kinect, which, you know, now looking back on it, was not that big of a deal, you know, but at the time it was a big deal. It moved a lot of consoles for Microsoft. And Sony had Move, but most people didn't get Move. It didn't come together for Sony like it did with Microsoft and Kinect. Move felt too much like the Wii, I think, for a lot of people. And hey, Sony's getting the last laugh, though. They still use it on their 3D headset, right? And Microsoft had to completely abandon Kinect when they went for the next generation. But still, they closed the gap with Sony. I don't know at the end of the day who sold more consoles. Maybe I'll look at that when I look at the show notes and update it. But it doesn't take anything away from the PlayStation 3. It was a great console. Had a lot of power. Played some great games. I think everybody can agree this was, you know, just an all-around solid effort by Sony, and it paid off. It was yeah, it was just a nice piece of kit. Looked great. No complaints. So anyway, obviously we're not going to play it because we all know it works, and we've all seen what a PlayStation 3 can do. If you haven't, you can always go online and I don't know, look at millions of videos of people playing PlayStation 3 games. It's interesting to see what games here are listed when it was first launching. Lair, Heavenly Sword, Resistance, Fall of Man, Warhawk, Genji, Days of the Blade, and Motorstorm. Man. Yeah, Revolutionary Cell Broadband Engine is the powerhouse processor and digital soul behind PlayStation 3. Built-in Blu-ray disc drive. Yeah, you know, that was a thing. Sony, with the disc drive, they certainly, the Blu-ray won the war against HD DVD, which was like the big thing. Everybody was like, Blu-ray's the future, HD DVD sucks. And, I had both. I bought the HD DVD drive from Microsoft because at the time there were just like fire sales going on with those high-definition discs, So people were like, I like Blu-ray, and it's like, well, I don't really care. This movie's super cheap, Get like 10 movies for like $5. Like, I'm just going to buy it. Plus you get this drive. It's like compatible like as a regular DVD drive with a PC. It's like a portable drive, That was a pretty good deal. Anyway, I don't know, not that many people bought it, but I did. And, of course, I had this, too, so I had Blu-ray. I wasn't, like, I'm not one of those people that's going to split hairs, I was like, well, I got both. It's fine. And Blu-ray won, but Blu-ray, it never did what DVD did. It never grew to the depths of DVD because people have streaming online market. They didn't need... they don't go out and buy movies on disc anymore, really. I mean, some people do. Don't get me wrong. There's collectors and things. People buy movies. They buy 4K DVD, Blu-ray, and stuff. But, the mass market is now streaming everything off Netflix, etc. They're not buying discs anymore. And so it didn't really work out. I mean, it made people money. Blu-ray's been a success. What I'm just trying to say is that it didn't grow the market like DVD did. Like DVD was a phenomenon, and they still make stuff on DVD to this day, just because not everybody's got a Blu-ray player. You know what I'm saying? So it's like DVD made huge inroads. Blu-ray is far better, but it just isn't. You can go into many people's houses to this day. I'm sure everybody knows people out there, and you'll go in there and they don't have a Blu-ray player. They've got they don't play games. They never went out and bought a Blu-ray player. They got a DVD player. And it probably got dust all over it, because they've been watching stuff on Netflix or any of the other streaming services, if they happen to have any of those. But, PlayStation 3 came with a Blu-ray player. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice, especially when it was a premium at that time. I do know that there was some concern about the laser pickups burning out in the early days, and I think there was some problems in the very early systems with the Blu-ray drive not lasting too long. But it seemed like it was a bit random, right? It didn't seem like it was a quality control thing. I just think some of those pickups were a little bit twitchy. I think for most people, though, it worked out fine. Yeah, pristine picture, cutting-edge RSX graphics processor delivers a new benchmark in real-time 3D imagery, highest quality video and audio digital output with HDMI, multimedia interface, broadband connectivity, compatible with memory stick. Nobody cares about that, Sony. SD memory card, compact flash, also dead. Wireless controller acts as a natural extension of your body as it provides more precision and freedom during gameplay. Yeah, they had that controller that moved. I think like one game supported that, where you could like wiggle the joy. They sure threw everything in the kitchen sink in this thing, though, didn't they? Blu-ray, cell processor, motion control, HDMI was new technology. First time they included the hard drive and the LAN, connection. You could do that on the PlayStation 2, but it was a kit that you had to buy. Here they put everything together. They give you Wi-Fi. Plus they had, Dolby and True HD. And they're like, hey, why don't we let them also use like SD card and compact flash? Throw that in there too. And we've got Bluetooth. Put Bluetooth in there. I mean, this thing was like just chock full of stuff, man. Just crazy. Sony was just like, just give them all of it. Let them have it all. So, it worked out. It was a nice little piece of kit. It was a good deal, man. Proud of Sony. They made a good game system. Everybody enjoyed it. There's not much else to say. It's just PlayStation 3. All around solid unit. Alright, well, that's it for this one. A little walk down memory lane there, but whatever. PlayStation 3 deserves it. We'll be back with a new console tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thanks for watching.